Hello, it's Teresa here from South East London, almost from Kent. The move is going on very nicely, thank you. And a big thank you to all of you who've commented and you've asked after the move and how I'm getting on. I really do appreciate it. It will be the last time I ever move. I just cannot go through this again. I'm only moving from a very small place, well, 4 rooms actually, and the amount of stuff I have, it's all craft stuff. All my bags and boxes that went out, were moved several days ago now, were all craft related, craft books, fabric, all the things that you have at home, I'm quite sure. My clothes haven't gone, they're not important, but the craft stuff's gone. So if I have to leave or dump anything, it will be my clothes and not my precious craft and art stuff. I must say I'm a bit worried about my tubes of paint, acrylic paint that went out, because I did notice they went out in a large laundry bag, and I did notice that my son put a big heavy box on top. He didn't know what was in the bag, fair enough, and I did say it's all fabric. Must have been, oh gosh, maybe 30, 40 big bags. I couldn't tell you, and I mean that the biggest laundry bags you can get. So you can imagine what my bedroom looked like, because that was actually my storeroom. But yeah, I did notice him put a heavy box of books on top, and now I'm wondering when this bag is undone if the tubes are going to be split or broken or something. But anyway, my fault completely. Well, as you can see here, I have a collection or a selection of both very pretty fabrics. Now, believe it or not, these were all my younger son's shirts, the shirts he didn't want, and he brought them over. I think you know that story, but for anyone new, my children worry when they leave articles of clothing or nice anything around, because they have this feeling that I will cut it up, that a little piece will go missing from a pocket or a hem or something like that. As if, ladies and gentlemen, would we do that? Anyway, so one night he appeared and he said, "Here, Mum, you can have these legally now, they're all yours." And they're some of the most gorgeous fabric. We have used this before in a tote bag that was made, and I can't remember who the inspiration was. Was it Matisse and Falling Leaves? Something like that. If I remember, I'll just hook the reference on the screen somewhere. But yes, all his shirts that he didn't want, he's grown out of. But just look at this fabric. So anyway, because as I've just explained, all my things have gone, all but for the bits and pieces that I have around here in the workbox. I thought these didn't go. For some reason, these were bundled up elsewhere, so I'm going to use these. Now I need to have a think about what I'm going to do with them. I don't want another tote bag. I need a quick project, so I will have a think. But before I do that, I just want to show people in the UK these, or this. I bought this a couple of days ago in the workshop, and they were down from £5 to 2.50 now, and there were loads and loads of them. And it's a lovely big diary, as you can see. But for any of you who are into journaling, these are just ideal. I bought 2, but there were so many. They're going to be there a long time. But I just thought I'd let you see that, just in case any of you, are short of a few books for your journaling. They're just lovely. A little bit of gesso on here, or paper, applique, anything, and you have a nice journal there. But right, I'm just going to read out some names and then we will crack on. So, first of all, I'm going to say... So, TERESA, I've been catching up with comments on YouTube. I'm not too sure if I've already replied to some of your comments on my phone, and it's not registering on my PC, so you might be deluged with comments from me, and if you are, I'm really sorry, because they will be slightly different, so I apologise for that, TERESA, if I have. I would like to say hello to Chris Vignell. Oh, I can't read my writing. Kathy M, Betty. Now, why I've got an arrow to you, Betty, going to somewhere, a note that I can't read. Deborah M, Gillian, Kath A, Glenn, Lee, Jackie, and Lynn on Richard's phone. So hello to you, Richard, as well. I hope you're both well. Lynn, I hope your leg's okay. Yeah, poor love, you really have been in the wars. It's always nice to hear from you, Lynn, as it is from everybody else. I think there might be more names, but I can't find them. I'm so sorry, I'm so unorganised at the moment, or is it disorganised? Can't remember. Anyway, in such a chaotic state at the moment, and I do apologise, because there were more that I wanted to shout out to, and I can't find your names, but thank you anyway. So on that rather sad and disappointing note, we're going to crack on, okay? And I really hope you enjoy this, so we'll move on. I spent some time looking at the shirts, and I thought, oh, I really don't want to do another piece of patchwork at the moment. I fancy doing something completely different. So what I have done, I've taken all the front pieces off, the front bands that have the buttons. So I have all these really gorgeous bands, and they all have their buttons on them, and I literally just ripped the front. Just take these, I was trying to stick to blue. Bless my son, he likes a nice blue shirt, so but somewhere along the line he's slipped in a red one. So, oh, that's the buttonholes. So I'm going to do the red anyway, but one big problem I have at the moment is that my iron is still packed away, my craft iron, well, in fact my other iron as well, they're still packed away. So I don't know how I'm going to go about stretching these flat. Oh, it's not going to be too bad. So that is the red one. Now I've also found some pieces of calico, various pieces. This one is 18 inches long by 18 inches wide. In fact, I've actually scribbled the size up there, and it is quite a length. So I thought, well, that's nice. It's a long length which could show off or exaggerate the length of these button bands. Right, I think I'll turn that round that way, so the length is the length of the screen. That might make it a little bit easier to see what I'm doing. Right, so I can't iron this, so I'm going to have to maybe damp it and just stretch it, pin it. So I'll move that down. Right, now as I was saying, I've got these lovely long button bands. I'm going to keep the buttons on them. I fancy doing just a little bit of nonsense or a little bit of experimental work. I haven't done that for quite a while, and I need to do it. Now I can lay them side by side. I could actually, excuse me, make a pattern out of the button placement. Could stagger the buttons. I'm not sure if they're, oh, they're evenly spaced. I don't know if they're all evenly spaced. So I could do this. I've no idea where it's going, what will happen to it. You might not even see this, but I'm sure you will. So, well, the red did sneak in there as well, right, okay. So that's, now as you can see, my son, like me, like his mum, loves checks and stripes. Oh, that one. That is a friend's one. That's a friend's shirt. But that is my son's shirt as well, and it is really beautiful. Small flowers like this one. I remember when I was growing up, my dad's shirts were always like this. They were always plain, never patterned. I mean, I don't think men at that time wore patterned shirts, and I think now it's just so lovely that the men wear patterned, flowery, pink and all sorts of lovely shirts, and why shouldn't they? Makes the world a brighter place. So that is my take on men's shirts. As you can see, I've given it a lot of thought. Now this would be that would be what I'm looking at. Oh, actually, that bit there, that's quite unintentional, but it's folded up. They don't have to be straight, do they? They could be wavy. Well, that's interesting. They could be wavy, they could be crossing over. Like literally like waves. Oh, that is something I might do. Spend some time. Now they'll have to be tacked into place. Oh, I'd probably start off with one in the middle and wave it, and then work from that one. See, I'm working with related lines again. I just love related lines. So just take one line, and we could take it from there, and we could just wave that around here, and we'll cause some pleats, some gathers, which all adds to the texture and the fun. Do another one there. Yes, that is something I'll definitely think about. In fact, I like that idea. The other idea that springs to mind is actually cut these up into smaller strips and just do a patchwork, some sort of just staggered patchwork, or as they come out of the box. I'm going to leave the buttons on. I just love the buttons. So you could do something like that, but my head's saying no, go back to the other idea. Oh goodness, yeah, I'm going to go back to the other idea. I haven't done this before. This is new for me, so it's going to be a real learning curve for me. Be interesting to know if anyone else has done this. I haven't actually seen it either, so it might be an original. There you go. So I'm going to make a start with tacking. This will definitely have to be tacked. I should choose one of these. Maybe I might choose the red one. Or will that divide if I... No, I'm not going to choose the red one. I'll choose the blue one. Well, obviously they're all blue, aren't they? I think I might start with this, because this one, for some reason, has got a natural curve to it. Now it looks as if the person who gave this to me, my friend, has ironed it on too hot a temperature, and the heat has caused it to sort of buckle a little bit. But that's brilliant, because I think I might be able to use that. Look, that is, it's the best way to see that, I think, is if I just pop it against one of these lines along here. Right, I've started off at this line here. I'm going to edge that there, and there you can see that that's how much it's buckled. It's a really nice curve. So if I had my iron here, I might have intentionally tried to do that, but I haven't got my iron, so that will last for another project. So I'm going to crack on with this and see what happens, and it should be quite interesting, I think. Even if it goes wrong, at least we've tried, and that's how we learn, isn't it? It's all been pinned now. With the few pins that I can find around the house, I've managed to pin these strips down. Got some big sewing needles there that I've managed to find, and I like this look already. I've trimmed it, I've trimmed the ends, and there's quite a lot of overhang to come off, so they're coming useful for something else. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to tack it. I need to tack it in place. Now I think I'm going to tack these bands this way to make sure that they're held down. They'd be held down if I went that way, but the chances are that these ends would flip up, whereby going this way I'm going to catch all the ends. So I should do several rows of tacking along the end, just big stitches. I've got some ordinary sewing thread here, machine thread, that's all I can find. So you all know what tacking is, so I'm just going to do nice big long stitches all the way across in quite a few places actually. Because I haven't got an iron at the moment, I damp pressed it overnight on this, it's the back of a whiteboard. So I'm going to undo it now. I stretched it and I stuck it down with duct tape. Now normally I would do this with pins or thumbtacks, but once again I haven't got access to them, so I decided to do it with this duct tape. And I haven't used it before like this, but I don't know, I think it might be working well. Done the 4 sides. Oh gosh, it's strong. Oh. It might even be better than the pins. Very carefully run it down. The tacking's been done, and I did go across the short way, the width, and it's held into, I think it's held down nicely. Oh, lovely. And this is still, and that is nicely pressed. It's flat, it's all in place, and that is ready now to sew. Now I'm going to use a long stitch or a running stitch, not sure whether it's going to be long or short. Now I'm using 3 strands of embroidery thread in a nice needle. Now anyway, I'm going to carry on and do as much of this as I can, the smaller running stitch, but it was just impossible with the needle that I had. I couldn't do it with a long needle because some of this is very thick in places, so I changed to a sashiko needle, just one of these, and no problem at all. A few little issues here and there, but not really problems. So that's been done, the long stitch. The long stitch no longer than ½ an inch, okay, apparently. Once I finished that way, I then decided I'm coming down this way, so I'm going to cross them. And I've only just done a few lines, started crossing them there. Now as I've done on this the rest of the work, I've changed the thread, and this is a great the colour of the thread. This is a great way to use up that bird nest of thread that we often end up with, all the little pieces that seem to hang about all over the place. I'm going to carry on with the same stitch but coming down, and I'm following the shape of the band. So this row is quite straight because the band has a slight curve in it. Actually, this is the one that has the curve, so I have followed the line around there. Have I done any more? Oh yeah, the line next to it here, pull that down a little bit, starts narrow here, and then it broadens out, not much, but it does broaden out slightly to the end. So that is how I'm doing my colours, by following the shape and the line of the band. This one, there we go, 2. I have a sashiko ring here somewhere. I have no idea where it is, and they're very handy. It's like it's just a round band with a little plate on the front of it. So it's just a round band like that, but thicker, and on it has a little round plate that you can use for pushing needles in, and very useful. But I only have one, and I don't know where that is. So I shall carry on and do this. All the stitching has been done now, lengthwise and widthwise. I'm just going to pull this along very slowly so you can see the whole lot. Now while I do it, you can obviously notice the addition of the string. Now as you know, I'm using resources which are just lying around the house, hence the shirts and the string and other bits and pieces here. So if you can see the string there, I'm going to couch them down. At the moment they are very loosely glued, just in various places, so I have to be careful. Now I'm using the glue as tacking, so I won't be tacking these down. I will actually just start sewing them. Now because I couldn't live without an iron, I went up to Asda and I bought myself a little iron, another iron, but I can't do without an iron for my craft work. It doesn't matter about my clothes, I don't iron my clothes, but for my art and craft I must have an iron. Bought a very nice one. It was £8. I thought, I'm not buying one more than £10, and lucky enough Asda has some really nice ones. But the funny thing is, I've only been in long enough to undo my new iron and have a look, and there was water in it. It was all wrapped up new, nothing else seemed to be disturbed, but there was water in it. I don't know if I should take it back or not, but anyway, I've used it and I'm quite pleased with it, so I'm keeping it. So there you go. How strange is that? I think you've got a good look at that now. I'm going to use 6 strands of embroidery thread. I've had to change the needle again to something finer with a big eye that will take the 6 strands, but this needs to be very fine to go through now lots more layers in case I hit the string, and it's only ordinary garden string this. So at the moment I'm going to use this deep pink, which is lovely. I'm not sure if I'll use it for all of them. I was tempted to use black, but then I thought no, that takes me back to Romero Brito. I want to do something different, so I might do all these in different colours. The colours I've actually used here, but we'll see how the first one works out. So I don't know whether to start this in the middle. I'm just going to show you this bit here. I particularly like this bit where it meets. I think that is really nice there, and the way this one narrows and then it comes out again following the line, and this one following the line of the band, how the band went down, and there's another lovely shape there. I think that is really lovely, looking a bit like waves on the screen, because I'm not seeing it that way. I'm looking at this way. No, sorry, I'm not seeing it that way. I'm looking at it this way. So my view at the moment is very different from your view. Anyway, I'm going to carry on, and I'm going to start. I think I'm going to start with detached chain. Now I will make this bigger. We have done detached chain before, and it is just a single chain stitch side by side. Right, so whoa, that's a tough old seam there. So down here, I'm going to have trouble getting it through there. So that is the detached chain stitch done all the way along the end, and the next stitch I'm going to an old favourite feather stitch. So once again, we have done this before, and this is a lovely stitch, very nice couching stitch. Right, so over there, and then choose a side. Oh, this is a nice stitch to do. So that's, I went that side before. I'm going to come over here, that side, and I'm going to do this all the way to the bottom. Let's just have a look. Oh yeah, I like that effect. Oh, I do love that stitch. Oh, this is really nice to do. I say that about all the projects. This is really nice. Okay, I'm going to carry on with that then and have a think about the next one. I can just about get the finished piece in now. The top stitching has all been done. I'll just run through the stitches that I've used. Down here is detached chain. That is a feather stitch with French knots, cross stitch, long tail chain stitch. I had to think about that. Fly stitch, blanket stitch, and herringbone stitch. And tucked away in here quite nicely is a long tail chain stitch again. Don't think there's anything else tucked away. You can still see the long stitch between the gaps here, around here and here. I mean, obviously I can see them better than you can because they're right in front of me. Yeah, they are showing up on the screen, but not as much as they are sitting here. And not only that, the light is now phasing. What's the time? It's 10:10 of an evening, so the light is going. So there we are. I'm just going to move this very carefully so you get an idea of what it looks like. It's quite long. There we are, and that's the length there. And there are some lovely shapes here appearing. This one, that one as well, that is a great shape. This actually reminds me of some weaving that I did maybe last year. I did a project on weaving, and it reminds me of some of the shapes that were produced on the loom with the thick wool, the roving. Very much like that. So I'm left with all the buttons. Now I've spent some time looking at it this evening, and it's still not finished. I'll just make this smaller. It's still not finished because the buttons now look as if they're just been stuck there. I can still see the band of buttons down here, right the way through there, and then we've got the buttons here and there. So the buttons are still in their bands, but because the bands have been allowed to go their natural way, like the curved one here, and this one here as well was curved, the buttons aren't true anymore. They're not in a true line, so which I'm pleased about, because that would look dreadful, wouldn't it, if these were if these were all side by side in rows. So I did have a look, and I thought, what can I do? What can I do? I need to make a feature of the buttons now. I could put a bead or a French knot in them. This is how the shirt, they came with the shirt already with little blue cross stitches in them. That was part of the shirt's design. Others have got white cross stitches, others have just got the stitch that goes across. There's a lot of things going on in the middle of these buttons. They're all the same size, so which can be boring. There's no contrast there with the size of the button or the colour of the button. They're all white, the cotton's all white, so it's very, very samey at the moment. Now I thought about the centres, the beads, perhaps a tinier button. I've got some very, very small buttons, a little bit of bling. I thought the normal things I thought about. Then I thought about doing a blanket stitch around them so they look like flower heads, and I still like that idea. Then I thought, no, that there's going to be too many stitches going in different ways. It's all right if you have one stitch, like slow stitch or long stitch, and it's all going in a different way. That's okay. You've got one stitch going in different ways. But when you've got many stitches, you don't really want them all going in a different way, because then it gets busy. Look how busy this is, and they're all going in the same way. So if they were all going at different speeds, different places, different colours, different stitches, it would be enough to bring on a migraine. I think I'd have to lie down for a while I was stitching. So I thought, what am I going to do? So it led me back to the bands. I thought I'd have a look at the bands again. So I went back to the bands, and obviously the button bands are gone. So I've been left with lots and lots of buttonhole bands. So I thought, there's an idea here somewhere, but I can't quite see it. I can't quite get to this idea. Well, it wasn't until I was out earlier, and suddenly the penny dropped. I thought, yes, I know exactly what that idea is. So as soon as I got in, made my coffee and sat down, I cut up some little shapes. Now I think I've dropped some on the floor. Right, now I've cut up this. I just started with two, because I just want to see how these two pan out. These two. Now they've still got the buttonholes there. Oops, that's coming off. It's got the buttonhole there. So the buttonholes will have to be cut with a little quick unpick. The lace behind will have to be cut. I should make this bigger in case I'm not making this very clear. Where's the camera? Oh, the camera's... I can't find the camera. Oh, there it is. Oh, that's strange. It's way off. Right, so you can see through there. There is lace the lace is there and it's complete. So I will have to split that with the little quick unpick here. Just go along there, split that for what I want to do. Now all I've done is cut the ends off of one of these. That is the button band for it. And I particularly, I'm going to have to make this smaller because I seem to have lost the camera somewhere. There it is. So I cut this off the end of the button. There's the button band there. So just taking that off. And while I was rummaging around, I found just a couple of pieces of this. I've got that piece there. And I know I have got more, I think, some of this. And I thought, I know what I'm going to do. I could use that somehow like this. Now, this is just an idea. Split that and actually button them in place. Do the buttons up. But I'm wondering, do I need to put some stitchery around there first? Might be a good idea to keep the lace and the little buttonhole together. And do I want them all the same way? Do I want some that way, or do I want some that way? Now obviously I can't put these, if I use them, it's just an idea, on every buttonhole because they're too close together. So I couldn't get that one on that buttonhole like that, and then that one on that one. So once I made my mind up, I think I'll make so many and then place them and see how that looks. Now the only problem is I haven't got enough lace, and I don't need to tell you where it is at the moment, but I have something like this on a duvet cover in my bedroom in the cupboards. It's spare, like we have these cupboards with lots of linen and stuff like that. And I think, I mean, this is an emergency. These are dire times for me. I think I might have to go and just take enough, a couple of inches off the end of it. No one's going to notice, although my daughter sleeps in there occasionally. She's forever leaving stuff here, and she says as she goes out the door, "Bye Mum, don't cut my stuff up." She'll put something down, something really pretty, and she'll say, "No Mum, you can't cut this up." So she wouldn't really be surprised if she goes into the bedroom, which isn't there now, the bed isn't there anyway. But she will be staying this weekend, and we're camping on the floor in here. She wouldn't be surprised to see it missing. She's seen bits missing from the net curtains and everywhere for years. But this is rather nice. Yeah, I'm thinking aloud now. Right, I'm quite excited, so I'm going to stop this here. I'm going to have another play around with these, cut some more, and I've got all sorts here. Obviously I've got the pairs, the partners to these, but I might introduce something else. And I do like this. I used to love this shirt when my son used to wear it, and I couldn't wait to cut it up. Well, don't have to wait any longer, do I? So I think I might introduce this as well. Maybe some plain ones, and just see how it goes. It's going to be very over the top. Don't know what I'm going to do with it, but whatever it'll be interesting, if bizarre. Okay, it's looking good on the screen actually. It's not too bad at all. Not too shabby, as a work colleague used to say. Not too shabby at all. Right, okay, so I'm going to carry on. Be interesting to see what I bring to the table next time. So I cut out a substantial piece of lace from my duvet, as you can see in the photograph that I've just taken here. And I've started cutting out the little pieces of the buttonholes. They're about, what, an inch square, just over an inch, 2.5 centimeters square, and the lace is 2 inches, which would be 5 centimeters square. And all I'm doing, I'm just going to put the buttonhole, a piece of fabric with the buttonhole, I'm going to centralise it, although you don't have to. I mean, you could actually put it in one corner, I would think. But anyway, I'm going to centralise it because there's enough fussiness on my piece of work as there is. And all I'm going to do is running stitch around there. I've deliberately chosen an off-white thread just to tone the colours down, really. I think if I put another colour here, did think about lilac, and then I thought, no, maybe not, that might just be one step too far. So they'll all be attached to the lace with a plain thread, like a plain white, I should say. And this is white, but it's an off-white, because I thought, well, the brilliant white that I have could be just as bad for vying for attention as a bright colour, because the other white, it's a brilliant white, and it really is brilliant. So this is just nice. Looks a bit like a dirty white, actually. Where's my little quick unpick? So I need to open up the buttonhole now inside, and you can do that with a sharp pair of scissors. Embroidery scissors would be fine. I'm just going to use this quick unpick and just make a few. I'm just going to make a few holes there. Yeah, easy, trim the raggy bits off, and then that should be ready for placing. And I'm just going to set it. Ooh, big decision. See, there's a cluster of 3 there, so I can only use one of those. Same here, because they're too close. I'm going to pop this. I'm going to pop it there. Oh no, I'm not. Oh, good grief! There's too much choice. So I'm put it here. There we go. That's the first one. First one there. Now I don't know if maybe later on I might need to just secure them in the corners. They fit nicely, there's no problem there. I could have them different ways, but we'll see how that pans out when I put the others down, and if needs be necessary, I'll secure them in the corner. But I like the idea of the lace sort of being free. I like the idea of the movement there. But as I say, that is something to do later on. So let's see how that's going to look then. I'm going to carry on now and make the rest. I think I probably need about 12. There are 46 buttons here, but they're all clustered together, as I've just said, so I'm going to lose a good percentage of those buttons. At least I'll know where to go if I need a shirt button in the future. Just lift one of these up. Oh, there's not one there. Oh, not one there. Oh, not one there. So I'll have to be a bit more particular with the one I lift up to take the button from underneath. I'll just slide this along now so you can see what I've done. These little buttonholes, these pieces here, they fit the buttons lovely. I mean, as they should do. There's no movement, they're nice and still, but I don't know whether they still need to be secured to the background because they are a bit weighty, and when I pick this up they lean forward. So I'm going to leave it for tonight. It's almost midnight now, so I'm going to leave it for tonight, leave it hanging and see how it looks in the morning, see what it needs. So I just think maybe tomorrow I might have to just secure it around the edges, maybe with a couple of decorative stitches on each one, just on each corner of the lace maybe. Anyway, we'll see. My eyes are a bit tired now, so it's not a good idea to start making decisions. So I left it overnight, and I had a look this morning, still unsure of whether I've finished this or not. I've been out all day, I've had a really nice day, and came in a little while ago. As I looked at it, I thought, yeah, I know what to do. I'm going to do some running stitch around all of these squares. I'm going to do it in a deep colour. Now, I don't think I'm going to use any of the background colours. I'd like to tone them down a little bit, so I'm going to use this dark brown. I'll start with one and then see how it goes, but I think that might be just what this needs now to pull it all together. I need to link these buttons and buttonholes, and I think I'm going to do that with a dark running stitch around them all. So all I'm going to do, and I'm not going to do all of these on the camera, I'm going to, this one's a bit awkward because that is right over a buttonhole, so I'm over a button, so I'm actually going to go through that. No, I'm not. I don't think this needle, no, that needle won't go through there. So I'll start at the side and just a running stitch. You could do any stitch you want. There we are. Now I did try these as well, like that, and I didn't like that look whatsoever. So they're all going to be the same way, all looking like squares. Where am I up there? Right, so first one with my nice long sashiko needle. Now this is too thick to go through to the bottom, the base I mean. So all I'm going to do is pick up the first layer or two, the lace and the layer or two. It is very, very tough. Now, so I will carry on now. Just made a little start on the camera. Yeah, you can just see, probably get the gist of the idea of how that's going to look. I'll carry on. Well, that was a lot harder than I imagined it was going to be. I had to change needles 3 times. One broke, and one needle threader broke as well. You can see I pulled so vigorously that the wire came out of the plastic piece here, so that isn't any good anymore. It's broken into 2, and it pulled the eye off the needle because this is now so tough. But anyway, I managed to carry on. The third needle I used was a very skinny one, but it was a short one, and it only took 3 strands of thread. Anyway, so it's finished. I can't do any more, as much as I'm tempted to just fill in all the spaces. I've just got this urge to fill in all the empty spaces that you can see with stitches. I'm not going to. It's very, very busy in some areas, so I do need these as a little piece of calmness between the long stitches, like there and here and along the edge here. I mean, there aren't that very many bare spaces as such down here. And this isn't bare here.
there's a crisscross of stitches here, but it's a light green, which you can see it on here, but you can't see it on the blue. And it's white, the white long stitch along here, which I'm pleased I did use. Although I didn't like using it at the time, I didn't like the effect, I'm pleased that I didn't use a bright colour, because it would have just been too much.
Now, from
The piece of shirt that I got the buttonhole band from this, so it's that, I've managed to get a backing from it, the same length as this, the same width, but because it's just a tiny bit left, I'm a bit short round about here, and at the end as well, hit this end too. So I'm going to have to be very careful, I think, about the seam allowance, and maybe just manoeuvre it a little bit towards the end. I'm also going to back it with 2 layers of wadding. Okay, some of you will know that as batting, but here in the UK we call that wadding. And I've got 2 because this is particularly thin, and what I'll do is sandwich the wadding between the work here, so that's going to go on the back and that will go there, and I will pin it, tack it, and then secure it all the way round. Hopefully by the time I finish tacking it, I will know whether I'm going to what I'm going to do with it. So I'm going to carry on now and tack all 3 layers together, and then sit back and have a look at it for a while. I've given it a really nice trim. I've taken off quite a lot of the overhang around the edges. It's nice and even now all the way along. This is one end, and I'm just going to pull it down now, and you can see if I move it up there and move it down there, it's a bit curly up there because it's leaning on something. You can see how it's actually looking now. You can, like that. So this is the finished piece, completely finished, and with the backing here. It's a beautiful fabric, absolutely beautiful, and it looks nice as silk because it's padded. Now, what I didn't say to you when I showed you this several minutes ago now, I put French knots on here. At least I don't think I pointed them out. I put the French knots along here, right the way down there, here, and I've decorated all the buttons, as you can see, just by going through the buttonholes. Now, I've only decorated the buttons that are on the pieces of fabric here, and not the buttons in the background. It's because I think now these stand out in the foreground, these decorated ones, and the other ones recede slightly into the background, so it does minimise some of that busyness, I think. And looking at it here, sort of with my nose there, it's yeah, it's more pleasing that way. So I think that is all I can do with this, but I can actually make it up into something. Now, several options, and one is to leave it as a hanging, which I actually do like to frame, to frame that. Oh, that's hard. Whatever I do, I have to put something along the outside edges. I have to decorate the edges some way. Now, I could, as I've just said, leave it as a hanging, or I could have it as a journal cover or a book cover, this way. like that, spine there. Let me see what side I like best. I think I like that side. I like that side. So I could have that as a journal cover, or I could have it as a much needed, well promised to self needle book. I'm going to leave it now for a while. Do what I always do, hang it up, have a think, have a coffee, and then make a decision. Yeah, my mind is just blank. I have no idea what to do with this. I'm a bit short of dishcloths actually, so perhaps I can do the washing up with it. Okay, wipe the floor with it. So I will hang it up and I'll get back to you soon. This is now finished. I haven't actually made it up into anything, but I have an idea. Now, as you can see on the screen, I've edged this with lace. So I just attached the lace on the back, and then I brought it over to the front. So the scallop edge is on the front, and the back is quite neat. I've added herringbone stitch along that edge, and on the front I've just done a running stitch all the way round, and I've mitered the corners as well this time. Don't normally miter, but I have with this. So that is done. Now it was touch and go whether I made this into a bag, which would be quite easy to do at this stage just by over sewing along here and along there. Would be quite nice actually, a little bag. I might even do that later on when I'm not pushed for time, but for the time being I'm going to leave it like this because I think it would also make a nice folder, or you could turn this into a journal, a needle book even. You can do all sorts of things with this, but for the time being, as I said, I'm just going to fold it over this way and keep it like so. It could be a book cover actually, and I'm going to use a band, a shirt band with the buttonholes, and I'm going to line up the end button here with that. Fortunately that is actually in the center, that one, so I'm just going to pop that in there. You could make yours as long as you wish. You could now line that up with another button. Look, I have another button round there, so I could line that up there, and there's the closure. I'd have to bring that in a bit, and that would be your closure. Okay, so none of the shirt, none of the bands are wasted. But what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to just wrap it round, and you could actually, as you lining up the buttonholes and the buttons, just pop that in there to secure it like that, and then bring it round here, and you can make the tie here. Now the nice thing about doing it this way is that as the contents of your folder, whatever it is, expands, then your shirt tie will expand too, and you would just move the button down, just move or change the buttonhole. I think at Christmas dinner excuse me, of moving your waistband, the buttons on your waistband, same thing. So that is it. Yeah, I'm so tempted now to make that into a bag, so and that could actually be a handle, couldn't it? If I brought that down as well, that would be a little handle, or a wrist handle, a wrist strap. But I'm not going to do that because I might have other plans for it. But there we go. Now I do hope you enjoyed that. Quick and easy, all shirt bands. And it just shows you that, you know, you can use anything at all. Now I have all the bodies of the shirts to deal with, and I think that will make a nice patchwork project because there's some beautiful fabric here. But anyway, for now, that is that. I'm going to carry on with my packing and so forth. Hopefully by the next time you get a video, I'll be well and truly in the middle of Kent. Okay, so take care everyone. I hope you like this. I enjoyed doing it, but I always do, and as I've said before, it's hard to know when to stop. Yeah, I'm actually thinking that would make a nice journal cover. It's open to so many uses actually. Oh goodness. Anyway, I'm stopping here now, so take care everyone, good luck wherever you are, just keep safe, and I'll see you all again shortly. Okay, bye bye.